Hi everyone, today I'm at the Northern Racing College near Doncaster and I'm having a lesson on their mechanical horse. So I've actually ridden a mechanical horse once before, but I was a child. It was years ago, maybe 15 years ago, and I was at Pony Club Camp. And we just did it as a bit of fun, so I had like a 5-minute sit on this horse. So today is going to be my first proper session having a lesson on a horse, and it's going to focus on rider biomechanics. So I think also we're using Franklin balls as well if I need them. And it should help improve my posture and my balance, and also help to improve my aids as a rider that I'll then hopefully be able to incorporate in my lessons with Dalco. So it's with a coach that I use quite regular. I have lessons with her on Dalco probably once or twice a month at the moment. So she does know me and know my horse. So she already has an idea of things that we kind of need to work on, so that's good. And then we should be able to carry it through into my regular lessons when we get back home and help improving on whatever we find today. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm a bit nervous because it's something different. But yeah, things that I would like to take away from it are, I know that I have a weakness on my left rein. I find that sometimes my toes stick out a little bit on my left foot, which I think is lack of strength, but I did break my left leg maybe 2 years ago now, so that explains that, I think. So I do need to work on that. And I'm also a little bit leany in the saddle sometimes, so I'd be interested to see where I'm actually positioning myself in the saddle today, and if I'm heavy-handed or that kind of stuff. I'm really looking forward to seeing what it picks up and what it tells me about my riding. We start with a 2-minute assessment of my riding, which is just a quick walk, trot and canter on each rein, and the horse does all of this for me, so I don't need to ask to move up or down through the paces. I literally just sit there. And while I do this, my coach B walks around and does a visual assessment, so we have that and also the sensors on the horse that record balance and pressure and that sort of thing, and those are displayed on the screen in front of me. Now, this horse is supposed to be a 17-2 warm blood Grand Prix dressage horse, and it did feel huge. It had such a big movement, especially in the walk. Now, the results of this assessment show that my rein and leg aids are neutral throughout, which is what we want because I was asked to not do anything and just sit there. So that was really good. But it did actually show that I am sat slightly to the left. I'm not equal through both of my seat bones, and also that I am slightly in front of the movement too, which was really interesting. So I'll actually pop a close-up of this on the screen now so that you can see what the sensors on the horse are actually picking up and showing us. And while this isn't terrible by any means, it's not perfect either, so it's just something that we can be working on. So B actually said that it looked to her when she was doing her walk round assessment, a visual assessment, she said it looked like my hips have a slight rotation forwards, and that because I am sat up quite nice and tall, that kind of covers it up a bit and masks it. So what she suggested we did was use the Franklin balls to help correct that. So we start with the peanut roller, which I placed under my seat bones, and this one is supposed to help stretch the hip flexors and help to elongate the leg. And I think you can see straight away that it's improved the way that I'm sitting. It's brought me back a fraction, and it's also brought my legs slightly further forward, and it's already made me sit more centrally. So we do the assessment again with the peanut roller under my seat bones. We do walk, trot and canter. And again, I don't need to do anything. I'm just focusing purely on my position and balance here. And I think the goal is for me to be able to later find this position on my own when we take the Franklin ball away. So I'm creating that awareness of what it feels like, where I should be sat, so that I can then do it on my own unaided. And we also practice a couple of exercises. So B asks me to take my foot out of the stirrup and raise my leg right up into almost a jockey position, and that gets me really sat through my right seat bone only. And then I drop my leg do that for a couple of strides and then raise it back up again. And that just helps to kind of shift my weight and get me into the correct position. Although this seems very, very extreme, that actually seems to be what I needed to get me sitting in the middle of that green circle. So this is actually my first time using the Franklin balls. I did book a clinic with Dalco maybe 4 years ago now, and I ended up cancelling it because he was quite green and inexperienced then, and I just didn't think that it was the right thing to do, because I was too worried that if I dropped a ball or they went flying off, what was he going to do, because he could be quite explosive. So this is a really good way to get the experience whilst being safe and not having the worry of being sat on a spooky horse. So next up, we pop these smaller universal balls under my thigh. And this honestly felt like I was riding the widest horse ever. And my coach explains that if you were to drop or lose one of these balls, that highlights gripping and tension in the leg. So ideally, what we're looking for is to keep them really nice and safe underneath our legs. So once those Franklin balls are in place and under each of my thighs, we then run through the exercises again. And as before, I'm asked to not really do anything. My concentration is on that red dot in the green circle in front of me, and also trying not to lose either of the balls, which I did actually manage to keep them in place throughout the entire duration. I didn't lose a single Franklin ball, which I was quite proud of that. So then it was time to take the Franklin balls away and do the initial assessment again and see if we'd made any improvements. So straight away, when we took the balls away, my legs felt so much longer now. So we actually popped the stirrups down a couple of holes and made use of the stretch and extra length that the balls had created. So when I was happy and comfortable, it was then time to take the final assessment. And this time I did actually have to ride. So it comes up on the screen. You can't actually quite see it in the footage, but the white box on the left-hand side of the horse on the screen, it tells you the next movements, kind of like a dressage test. So it will say working trot left, medium trot, working canter, medium canter, medium walk, walk, halt transitions. It's all there on the screen. So I just have a bit of a practice before we set off of finding where the sensors are and where my legs need to be and how much pressure to apply and that kind of thing. And what was actually really interesting whilst I was playing around with it was when I was asking for an upwards transition, so from halt to walk or walk to trot, my left leg wasn't as strong as my right leg. So the left sensor would go on and come off even if my leg was still on, whereas my right leg would come on and stay on. My left leg was weaker. The sensor would come on and off, on and off. So that was really interesting. We have some flying changes in here as well, which I've never ridden a flying change before, but they were very, very easy on the mechanical horse. You just pop your inside leg on sensor 1 and your outside leg on sensor 3. So there's 3 sensors down the side of the saddle, 1 which is closest to the girth and 3 which is further back. So they were so easy, and it was really like actually riding a Grand Prix dressage horse. He was so well schooled, he was so nice to ride, and I think I'll have a bit of a shock when I go back and get on Dalco later. So I get the downward transition here very easily for working canter down to medium trot, but then my medium trot down to working trot, I apply too much rein pressure and we just come down to halt. So we did a walk to canter and I tried that downward transition again, and I found it much easier the second time. And B did say that people do tend to find those downward transitions quite difficult to begin with, and that she often gets a lot of accidental halts. So I think that I did fairly well to do it only once. But yeah, you need hardly any rein pressure at all. It's mostly from your seat. So once I kind of understood that and knew where the buttons were and what to press and what not to press, we kind of got it. But oh my God, this horse was actually so nice to ride. He really felt like riding a schoolmaster. He was so nice. I honestly had the best time today and I didn't stop smiling throughout the entire lesson. I really, really enjoyed it and I can't wait to practice it with Dalco when I get home. These sessions are actually running monthly now, I think, through summer, so I'm definitely going to book another one and see if we can improve. I think it would be really interesting to compare the results from today's session to next time, because I think the difference from start to the end of this lesson today is quite astounding. And I honestly feel like I've learned so much. I've really, really enjoyed it. If you ever get an opportunity to do one of these, I would definitely recommend it. And as always, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you all soon.